ॐ आयाहि वरदे देवी त्रक्षरे ब्रह्मवादिनी गायत्री छन्दसाङ्गमात ब्रह्मजोनी नमस्तुते। ॐ असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मामृतङ्गमय आविराविर्मयेधि रुद्रजत्ते दक्षिणमुखं तेन मां पाहि नित्यं तेन मां पाहि नित्यम्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। O Divine Mother, reveal Thyself in our heart and in our midst. We invoke Thy presence amidst us. Thou art the sacred word of the Scriptures. Thou art the embodiment of knowledge and liberation. Thou art the supreme bridge to immortality. Lead us from unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death, disease and suffering to immortality. Manifest Thyself in us through and through, and protect us with Thy compassionate face. Om peace, peace be unto us, peace be unto all living beings. Our subject today is the spiritual awakening. I am reading a section of the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. Sunday, August 3, 1884. Sri Ramakrishna was sitting in his room in the temple garden at Dakshineshwar after his midday meal. A party of bauls from Shivpur, several devotees from Bhavanipur, Balaram and M were in the room. Bauls, they are singing minstrels. That is a school of religious thought in India for whom singing is the only spiritual practice, devotional song. The master began the conversation by addressing the baul musicians from Shivpur. Master, yoga is not possible if the mind dwells on woman and gold. The mind of a worldly man generally moves from the three lower centers, those at the navel, at the sexual organ, and at the organ of evacuation. After great effort and spiritual practice, the Kundalini is awakened. According to the yogis, there are three nerves in the spinal column, Ida, Pingala and Sushumna. Along the Sushumna are 6 lotuses or centers, the lowest being known as the Muladhara. Then come successively Sadhisthana, Manipura, Anahata, Vishuddha and Agga. These are the 6 centers. The Kundalini, when awakened, passes through the lower centers and comes to the Anahata, which is at the heart. It stays there. At the time, the mind of the aspirant is withdrawn from the 3 lower centers. He feels the awakening of divine consciousness and sees light. In mute wonder, he sees that radiance and cries out, "What is this? What is this?" After passing through the 6 centers, the Kundalini reaches the 1,000-petal lotus known as the Sahasrara, and the aspirant goes into Samadhi. According to the Vedas, these centers are called bhumi or plains. There are 7 such plains. The center at the heart corresponds to the 4th plane of the Vedas. According to the Tantra, there is this center, a lotus called Anahata with 12 petals. The center known as Vishuddha is the 5th plane. The center is at the throat and has a lotus with 16 petals. When the Kundalini reaches this plane, the devotee longs to talk and hear only about God. Conversation on worldly subjects, on woman and gold, causes him great pain. he leaves a place where people talk of these matters. Then comes the sixth plane, corresponding to the center known as Agga. The center is located between the eyebrows, and it has a lotus with two petals. When the Kundalini reaches it, the aspirant sees the form of God, but still there remains a slight barrier between the devotee and God. It is like a light inside a lantern. You may think you have touched the light, but in reality you cannot because of the barrier of glass. At last, of all these is the seventh plane, which according to the Tantra is the center of the 1,000-petal lotus. When the Kundalini arrives there, the aspirant goes into Samadhi. In that lotus dwells Satchidananda Shiva, the Absolute. There Kundalini, the awakened power, unites with Shiva. This is known as the union of Shiva and Shakti. When the Kundalini rises to the Sahasrara, the mind goes into Samadhi. The aspirant loses all consciousness of the outer world. He can no longer retain his physical body. If milk is poured into his mouth, it runs out again. In that state, the life breath lingers for 21 days and then passes out. Entering the black waters of the ocean, the ship never comes back. But the Ishvara Kotis, such as the incarnations of God, can come down from this state of Samadhi. They can descend from this exalted state because they like to live in the company of devotees and enjoy the love of God. God retains in them the ego of knowledge or the ego of devotion so that they may teach men. Their minds move between the sixth and the seventh planes. They run a boat race back and forth, as it were, between these two planes. After attaining Samadhi, some souls of their own accord keep the ego of knowledge. But that ego does not create any attachment. It is like a line drawn on the water. Hanumana kept the servant ego after realizing God both in his personal and his impersonal aspects. He thought of himself as the servant of God. The great sages such as Narada, Shanaka, Sananda, Sanatana, Sanat Kumara, after attaining the knowledge of Brahman, kept the servant ego at the ego of devotion. They are like big steamships, which not only cross the ocean themselves, but carry many passengers to the other shore. There are two classes of Paramahamsas, one affirming the formless reality, and the other affirming God with form. Trailinga Swami believed in the formless reality. Paramahamsas like him care for their own good alone. They feel satisfied if they themselves attain the goal. But those Paramahamsas who live in God with form keep the love of God even after attaining knowledge of Brahman, so that they may teach spiritual truth to others. They are like a pitcher brimful of water. Part of the water may be poured into another pitcher. These perfected souls describe to others the various spiritual disciplines by which they have realized God. They do this only to teach others and help them in spiritual life. With great effort, men dig a well for drinking water, using spades and baskets for that purpose. After the digging is over, some throw the spades and other implements into the well, not needing them anymore. But some put them away near the well, so that others may use them. Some eat mangoes secretly and remove all trace of them by wiping their mouths with a towel. But some share the fruit with others. There are sages who, even after attaining knowledge, work to help others and also to enjoy the bliss of God in the company of devotees. I want to eat sugar, I don't want to be sugar. The gopis of Vrindavan to attain knowledge of Brahman. But they were not seeking it. They wanted to enjoy God, looking on themselves as his mother, friend, handmaid, or his lover. The bowls from Shivpur began to sing to the accompaniment of a stringed instrument. A line in the first song was, "We are sinners, redeem us, O merciful Lord." Master to the devotees. It is the attitude of a beginner to worship God out of fear. Please sing about God realization, songs expressing divine joy. To Rakhal. How well they sang that song the other day at Nobin Yogi's house. Be drunk, O mind, be drunk with the wine of heavenly bliss. While singing religious songs, one should not constantly refer to one's worries. One should rather feel joyous and ecstatic as one chants God's name. A devotee. Sir, won't you sing? Master. What shall I sing? Well, I may sing when the Spirit moves me. After a few minutes, the Master began to sing. His eyes were turned upward. He sang, "Behold the waves of Gaura's ecstatic love. Under them all universe lies submerged, and in his love I too long to be drowned. O friend, Gauranga's love has swallowed me. Who else feels for our misery like Gauranga, dragging us from the mire of worldliness?" He sang again, "Dive deep, O mind, dive deep in the ocean of God's beauty. If you descend to the uttermost depths, there you will find the gem of love." These are the words Sri Ramakrishna said with regard to spiritual awakening. Well, spiritual awakening, about which we are to speak this morning, what is it? It is said the mind remains asleep, and without awakening nothing can be done. One may read scriptures, one may go to the places of pilgrimage, one may meditate, pray for months and years, yet nothing can be done. It is like a man, in order to undertake a journey, he purchased the ticket of the railway, he fixed his baggage ready, dressed himself nice, said goodbye to his relatives at home, came to the railway station and waiting, the train did not arrive, and pacing back and forth. Similarly, a seeker of God, he paces back and forth. He practices spiritual disciplines, meditates, studies the scriptures, makes self-analysis, but the awakening does not come. And until that comes, nothing can be done. The awakening is something which cannot be made to order. There is no condition anywhere that how it will come. And when it comes, it comes. Maybe a person studying Bhagavad Gita whole life, maybe at the fag end of his life, one day, casually reading a verse, he feels such a thrill and fire, and that changes the course of his life. Maybe he is walking in the street, someone says something to another person. That very word opens the floodgate of his mind. When the mind awakens, it picks up servants from stocks and stones, it is said. Time must come. And when the awakening comes, the soul catches fire. It is said, ecstasy, the soul aflame. Till then, knocking at the door and moving in the outer court, looking around, wondering, analyzing, thinking, imagining. And when the soul is aflame, then the devotee or the aspirant picks up speed and he rushes forward. Awakening is the awakening of the heart. We studied, just now we read, mind remains asleep. Seat of the mind is between the eyebrows, but remains focused on the three lower organs, centers of consciousness: eating, sex life, and procreation, sense enjoyment. Therefore, mind does not look around which is near it. Between the eyebrows and the lowest centers, the bottom of the spine, his focus, his attention remains focused. The whole world, his likes and dislikes, his anger and hatred, his love and frustrations, they're all centering around those three. So the power remains coiled up and dormant. So it is called awakening. Then one who does these spiritual practices, who studies, who thinks, another part of the mind. In our mind, generally it is said, there are two divisions, the intellect and the emotion. Emotion is the mind, and the intellect is a part of the mind which is more fine, which is decisive, which does not doubt, which takes decision. Till the awakening comes, we are guided by intellect. So an aspirant in the beginning is a Pandit. Pandit means he is a scholar. And also the word Pandit, you'll find in the dictionary, now it is an English word. Also it is not used with a very wonderful idea. With a little sarcasm sometimes it is used, Pandit. So he studies all his spiritual disciplines, prayer and religion of the head, guided by head. It's a big head. And a big head because lot of doubt, lot of frustration, lot of load carrying on the head, rattle of opinion. And he tears himself by his own arguments. He raises one argument, then he raises counter argument. Sometimes with his big head he knocks against a wall, feels troubled. Indeed, the head is too big to be carried on. So all injunctions he does as a rule. If he meditates, he thinks he should do it. He's a slave being driven by injunctions out of fear. He analyzes. I must do, I ought to do, I should do. Because the scripture says, the Upanishads say, the Bible says. I must be charitable because Bible says. He studies being goaded by injunctions. He's a moral man, ethical man. Whole thing is guided by the head and the heart. Head is like a broomstick. It clears the way. It has a negative role. The heart is like the engine. The head is railway. It gives signal. Head only keeps our emotions running in a particular channel. So head is a servant of the heart. Till the heart comes, everything is dry. It has of little value in religion. When the heart is not there, what we hear through the head, it does not make any impression. Heart is like a solution when you take a picture through a camera. In the film, there is a solution. Without that, no picture will be taken, however clicking you may do. Similarly, when with the head we are doing, anything we do guided by head is very troublesome. Even in everyday life, what we do with head, is not always very happy. We do not feel, we feel dry. But when the heart comes and joins, then the thing dramatically changes. The thing becomes the doing of love. And when the love comes, the heart, the emotional involvement, then it is no longer doing. So long it is guided by hate, it is a big doing. And doing wears us out. A moral man is never happy. He is driven by doing and not doing. He is troubled all the time. Because hate, the intellect, is never sure of what he is clutching at. A moral man always is torn apart. I narrated an incident. A famous Brahmo leader of Calcutta, by whose name still a college is there, huge college. A moral man. He was a little fastidious also. And he used to walk from his home to his college during the early days. A renowned man of Calcutta. But he had a fastidiousness of morality that those who go to movies, they're all rotten people. It happened to be so, and unfortunately, one day he was walking from his home toward his college. On the street, a young man came forward and stopped him. Sir, will you kindly tell me where such and such movie house is? Because he bought a ticket, he came to Calcutta, but he did not know where the exact movie house was located. And it happened to be he confronted this gentleman. He looked at him with glowing eyes. He said, I don't know. And he went forward. After going about several blocks, 2 or 3, it occurred to him that he knows the movie house, but he told a lie. He should not tell a lie. He immediately turned back and began to run, to find out that young man meanwhile mixed up with the masses. Near the College Street, Calcutta, where generally like Times Square, it is very difficult to find out a person once lost. With great effort, he found him out. He said, listen, young man, I know the movie house where it is, but I will not tell you. Then he again tried. He wanted to be truthful. That troubled him. One is good, one is bad. This is the religion of the hate. We listen to the sermons, study books, but we do not take religion home. We leave the religion right at the doorstep of the temple and go with a free mind, enter home. We do not like to be burdened by religion. So religion, we listen. For some, as soon as we hear through this ear, it passes out through the other ear. Some they digest with their luncheon and dinner, nothing left. And some leave at the doorstep. Well, this thing belongs to this place. I should not take that home. So therefore, it does not give a growth. We pray for 20 years. People complain. Why I am not progressing? Meditate 40 years. Nothing has happened. Water on a duck's back, it runs out. There is no heart in it. Heartless, dry like a stone. Religion is a burden. Religion is a big burden. It does not feel. It does not give growth. It does not test. So Sri Ramakrishna gives example. The head and the heart, the two persons, they came one day, decided they will visit a mango grove. One while coming, he thought, since he is going to a mango grove, he took scale, pencil, paper, tape, measuring tape and everything. Then another came empty-handed. Both of them entered. One immediately as he came, he began to size up the length and width of the mango grove, how many mango trees, each one, how many leaves, how many mangoes, and note down. Perhaps to make a thesis and get a doctorate later on. The other entered, he looked, saw the ripe mangoes hanging. He got up, climbed a tree and began to eat mangoes. The condition of the grove owner was that they can stay in the grove from sunrise to sunset and do whatever they like. Meanwhile, the sunset came. First man, he only finished counting of the leaves, only one or so. The other man, meanwhile, ate so much that he felt satisfied, and happily smiling and clapping his hand, he left the mango grove. The other one left with great frustration, disappointment. The first one was the man of hate, and the other one was the man of heart. So man of hate, guided by intellect, is like a donkey carrying loads of sugar. The donkey does not taste sugar. Whole life ends up in carrying. His religion is letter reading religion, Sri Ramakrishna says. Somebody wrote a letter from the village to Calcutta that when you come next weekend, bring 5 pounds of sweets and 2 pieces of cloth. The man opened the letter, read the details, and threw the letter into the basket, went out to get the things. And he kept them ready in order to be taken with him when he goes home weekend. No more letter is necessary. But here, the scriptures, they're like letters. After reading the letters, we are supposed to procure the things. But we read and read. We study and study. We do not procure the things. Once one disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, a renowned disciple, the embodiment of a sage according to the Gita, he was arguing with the master, well versed in the scriptures. Sri Ramakrishna one day told him, well, my dear, what do the scriptures say? All these volumes and volumes, 6 systems of Hindu philosophy, 24 principles of Sankhya, the Vedas, the Tantras, the countless volumes, they say Brahman is real, the world is illusory. Brahman is to be realized. If it is said, then why don't you try to realize? Why you are reading scriptures and scriptures daily? What good it will do? So therefore, religion then, without the hate, it is useless. It is a burden. It is positively wrong. Not only a burden, it is positively wrong, waste of time and obsession, or at the most a hobby. When the awakening comes, the stage undergoes a dramatic change. The same person finds something that brings a revolution in his being. I am telling an incident. He was a wealthy man known as a king, Raja. You know, the India is land of Rajas and Maharajas, dipped in luxury. But also there was another side. Also he developed great intellectual faculty. He also used to do religious practices. But from a sense of injunction, as I said, as a duty. If he did anything, he would do as a sense of duty. If he does charity, you say, oh, I did that as my duty. As you know, many from pulpit sermons are given that we should be charitable because we must cooperate with God. Otherwise God is helpless. We must keep God's things going. And he used to take pride in what he used to do. One day, he used to read, as I said, on renunciation, surrender, but he did not pay much attention. One day he was taking his walk. It was a village. In the village there were many poor people. In one house, in a washerman's house, a little girl was telling her mother, because the evening already had arrived, said, "Mother, it is already dark. Evening is approaching. We should hurry up." Because they were making certain things for cleaning the clothes. The washermen in India, not like here we have the laundromat. There are washermen who take clothes from different houses and clean. And sometimes they clean with kind of banana tree. Certain things are there in earlier times. From that they used to develop soda. And the name of that particular thing of banana is called vasana. Vasana means also desire. Vasanas are to be burnt and made ashes so that we can hurry up. The little girl advised her mother. This gentleman, his name was Lalabam. He heard, evening is coming. I must hurry up. The vasanas are to be burned down. That one word. Many days he walked, passed by that house. But that evening, that word brought a tremendous revolution. He came home and renounced everything. Wearing a piece of loin cloth, he left toward Vrindavan, the birthplace of Krishna. Because evening of life is approaching. What I have done? The vasanas had to be burned down. Because time is not there, running out. That one word brought a deep revolution in him. And going to Vrindavan, with utter surrender to God, began to practice his spiritual disciplines. There are many other anecdotes in his life. It is said that he became so austere that he began to live under a tree and day and night saying his prayers. Under the tree, he chose a tree where there were a lot of sands so that it would be somewhat comfortable. Because born and brought up in luxury, it was hard for him. And he procured a little brick, 2 bricks, to make his pillow. One day some of the Vrindavan ladies in the village, they were going to procure drinking water from a nearby well. They saw this ascetic wearing loincloth, austere, and lying on the sand and resting on the pillow of bricks. So the village women, one said to the other, "Look here, my friend, this man has renounced everything, but still he needs pillow and a good bed." The one remarked to the other and they passed. This thing came to the ear of Lalabam. Then he got up, he threw the bricks, threw the sands away, and lying flat on the hard ground. When the women were coming back with their water, they looked, said, "Oh, the yogi has anger too. We said, and now he has thrown away." He's still angry. First he felt frustrated. In this way, a great change came upon Lalababa. A great change came to be known as an ascetic. And the life of Nanak, the great teacher of Sikh religion. Nanak, Guru Nanak, in Punjab, used to take care of his father's business. His father used to, it is said, a grain dealer. And in India, they used to weigh grains with a certain weight in exchange of money. And generally, I have seen also in school days, in order to keep track of, say, 50 pounds they will weigh. So 1, 2, 3, each pound they're weighing. So generally in India they add Ram, the word Ram, one of the names of God. Ek Ram, do Ram means 1 Ram, 2 Ram, 3 Ram. So in order to count, when 50 comes, he stops. So here also Nanak was giving to the customer. So when it came 13, 13 in Hindi is Tera Ram. And also the 13 means your, belongs to you. At 13, he stopped saying 14 or 15. He began to repeat 13 and weigh his things. He was caught up, as it were. That word inflamed his mind, Tera Ram. O Ram, everything belongs to you. And ceaselessly he counted and finished his grain to the customer. Customer was at a puzzle. He's only saying 13. Who would know what a great revolution was going in his mind? Similarly, when this awakening comes, the same person in the same environment doing the same thing, he finds a new meaning. When the Kundalini awakened, it is like a snake raises his hood and moves upward. The same word appears with a different perspective, different meaning, evoke different emotions, and open up vistas of different realizations. This is called awakening. When the awakening comes, the same spiritual practices, prayer, studies, he finds a new taste. Till then he did not relish. Relishing prayer and meditation is another thing. Relishing means enjoy. One beautiful example Sri Ramakrishna gives. What is relishing? Relishing is also like drinking. If you drink too much, then you can't in the end. You fall flat. So when by uttering the name of God once, a thrill comes, passes through the body. Hairs stand on the end. And voice becomes choked. Tears roll down. These are called vikars, sattvika vikars, manifestations. Then you know it has been awakened. We say prayers, we utter names, but that thrill does not come. Month after month, day after day, that fire does not come. Rounds of prayers and meditations. That thrill. The heart remains empty. So these are called sleeplessness, great restlessness. One is taken over by this. The Vaishnava scriptures, they say, when the awakening comes, the house has caught fire. The house of the ego, the house of desires, worldly attachments, strong iron pillars of ego, they catch fire from all sides. And the other house opens up. One house gets burnt, the other house opens up. Other realm opens up. So these are the signs. Intense longing. Shankara says, in his Vivekananda, speaks of the sadhana chatushtaya, 4 spiritual qualifications of a yogi. He must be a man of discrimination. Discrimination between the real and the unreal. Who is real and who is unreal? We do not think. They get mixed up. What is good for me and what is bad? We never think. When this discrimination, one becomes steady in discrimination, next comes renunciation. If it is bad to be discarded, I must do that right now. An intellectual man, a religious intellectual, he cannot do that. He plans. He thinks, well, suppose he knows that he should devote himself to God fully, but he thinks, let me make little money, make little good fund here, then I will go to Benares, the interest will come monthly, say 500 rupees, and somehow I will carry that. Or let the children grow, I will get my daughters married, let the son finish his education, then I will go to Benares and devote myself fully to religion. Till then, he waits. Here also I am quoting gospel. which Ramakrishna used to detest. That I do not like that sort of thing, singing. Tera banat banat bani jai. It will happen in course of time. We think. We keep religion, taking the name of God for the old age. When the teeth will fall, the skin will get wrinkled, family will reject, everybody will think crazy. Then he will do religion. He wants to give God a corpse, not a living life. That this is the corpse, I am offering it to you. Not the full body and mind, scorched by desires, frustrations. He offers that, but nothing can be done. So here, the intellectual man, he does not feel. When the awakening comes, he must do right then. So Viveka, first is discrimination and renunciation, Shankara says. Without renunciation, nothing can be done. There are many doctrines who make compromises. Well, this also will go, that also will go. Third, Shankara says, mastery over the virtues, faith, self-control, fortitude, Shraddha, Titiksha is fortitude, Shraddha means faith, self-control, self-regulation, these are virtues, and listlessness of the mind, calmness and tranquility. These virtues he will feel attracted and he will practice. And the fourth one is the longing, the crux of the whole thing, the kingpin. Longing is intense longing. What is the mark that I am progressing in the path of religious life? Mark is longing. There is nothing other. A person may see visions, hear voices. That is not true, may not be true. He may see ghosts. He may have a nervous breakdown. And by that, he feels a irritation in the back and he may think his Kundalini awakening. He may go crazy, see ghosts. He may think he is seeing God. He may have a nervous breakdown, numbed. He may feel he is in a state of samadhi. What is the proof? Proof is, are you developing longing? Is it making you restless day and night? Are you feeling like a pain in your tooth and gum all the time chasing you? Are you hounded by God? If not, you are still sleeping. You are dreaming only about religion. So religion is an optional hobby. It is not whole-time affair, hobby. It is one of the watching TV and telling beads, another hobby. Nothing more than that. When the longing comes, we make all other things subservient to our religion. Now, when the awakening has not come, my religion is lost. After earning money, dealing with the friends, finishing the business, if there is anything scrap time left, I sit for religion. I study, listen to a sermon only when I have time. The days I am busy, I do not. When the longing comes, all other things, my business, earning money, taking care of other things, made subservient to religion. Goal of God religion becomes the central thing. All others are secondary things. This is called longing. Longing we all have. Sins we all are pursuing. We are not fake. All of us. But not enough. There are middlings, there are inferior, there are superior longings. Fire burning. It is wonderful. In a city like modern city like ours, where millions and millions are frantically and crazily running after material things, where people like us still make efforts for realizing God about which we have not known much, struggling for that, feeling dissatisfied with what this world can give us, it is certainly wonderful. but not enough. Longing must be intense. What is the intense longing? Shankara gives the word tapta shira. Tapta shira in Vedanta word that live charcoal fire burning on the top of the head. If a person with a lump of charcoal fire burning is kept on his head, what he will feel? He will run hither and thither. He will ask this person, that person. He will be restless. He won't have sleep. He won't have rest. How to get rid of the fire? He will look upon all the conventional things as most terrible. This is called intense longing. Once there was a disciple, Sri Ramakrishna says, disciple came to his teacher, Guru. Guru said, my son, know for certain the house, relatives, friends, they are not your real friends. The real friend is the God alone. Follow him. Surrender to him. Disciple said, sir, but my wife, my children, they love me so much. How can I say that they are not real and God is real? Is it all right? I'm giving you a pill. You go home. Take the pill and lie down. By that you will appear as dead from outward. No heartbeat, no pulse. Doctors will come, will declare you dead. The man came home. He used to live in his little house. The door was very small. He has to crawl almost. The man came, swallowed the pill, and within an hour he appeared dead. His wife, with a number of children, they began to cry. The doctor came, friends came, they saw he was dead. The body has to be cremated. And meanwhile, this guru also came in disguise to see the size up the situation. All are crying. The body has to be brought out and carried to the cremation ground. But the pill had an effect. It made the patient die as if he died from tetanus. When a person dies of tetanus, sometimes his body becomes stiff and bent like a triangle sometimes. And he also developed that. He could not be brought out through the door. Then the friend suggested, and particularly the guru in disguise, he said, well, what is to happen, it has happened. Listen, let us take this door frame away so that the body will have to be brought and cremated. Immediately the wife stopped crying. Said, oh, please don't tell that. What has to happen, it has happened. Instead of cutting the door, you rather cut his legs into pieces and bring him out. This man heard. He said, what? Now door frame is more important than me. She is asking me to cut my legs and hands and take them out in pieces. He left the place, followed his guru, who was there. Similarly, we think love. Oh, how much the world loves me. My friends love me. Once a husband died, the wife arranged with an undertaker. And the body was taken to the undertaker, taken care of. After one day, other precautions were taken. The undertaker telephoned the wife. Well, what do you prefer, burying or cremation? Please advise. The lady thought for a moment, then said, both. Why take a chance? Why take a chance? This is our love. We say, oh, how they love me. This love is, when intense longing comes, it is called love. And love knows no rule. See, intense longing is like when a person feels restless. A teacher, he also could not convince his disciple what intense longing meant. See, one day he took him to the Ganges, and both of them said that they should take a dip. As both of them took a dip, the teacher held his head down in water for a few minutes and then released. Then he asked, how did you feel? Oh, sir, I was getting out of breath. He said, when you will feel for God out of breath, like this, know for certain that your awakening has come. And all your formal spiritual practices, ceremonial worship will be unnecessary. Similarly, then, from this standpoint, when this awakening comes, intense longing, that means we have got the hold. The automobile has picked up speed, and everything dross will automatically get burnt. We have become aggressively religious. We are aggressive in earning money, in going to a vacation, we are aggressive. But when the religion comes, we are most passive, timid, because this is optional. It is not that urgent. We put it off. So intense longing makes our religious efforts aggressive. It makes spiritual practices very tasty when awakening comes, because emotion has come. Emotional involvement. Intense longing means emotion. Mind and the intellect, they have joined. What I say, I feel also. This feeling aspect. Then one won't have to think of ceremonies and injunctions. Wherever he goes, that fire is there. Fire burns. All his tendencies, sanskaras, abstractions, they will be broken to pieces through the onrush of this love. So therefore, awakening means then awakening of love, emotional relationship with the ideal. Some sort of emotional relationship. Evoke emotion. When the emotions come, even the picture becomes living. The picture speaks. Prayers are offered because it is the language of silence. God speaks through the language of silence. Also he speaks, it is said in Kali Yuga, he speaks through a child, through a drunkard, through a crazy man. When we have the attitude. So the awakening is the awakening of the emotion. But there is a question. It may be temporary. The longing may be temporary. How to distinguish between temporary awakening of emotion and permanent? There are temporary awakening. Listening to a devotional song, discourse, coming in contact with an awakened person, the inner awakening comes. But again, coming in contact with the adverse circumstances, again it falls asleep. Temporary emotions, they do not last long because ground is not ready. When I am awakened by coming in contact with a person, that is not my awakening. So therefore, we need not feel sorry because that intense longing has not come, because it will come in time. There is no use of asking when it will come. You know, as Ramakrishna said, a child went to bed and asked his mother that, "Mother, when I feel nature's call, please wake me up." Mother said, "Well, my son, nature's call will wake you up. I won't have to wake you." So therefore, here also, when the true awakening comes, it will wake us up. We won't have to ask. Role of emotion in religious life, as I was telling, is very important. Without that, nothing can be done. All spiritual practices are for that. Pranayama, meditation, telling beads, from that sense, they are love-making. In the beginning, love-making is ceremonial. Suppose you want to make friend with somebody. You send cards, you are very cautious, you are formal in your behavior. Similarly, in our worship, we are formal. Then when the love comes, then we are informal. Very intimate relationship with God. He is our inner companion, guide, friend, philosopher, protector. And when that thing comes, idea of spiritual discipline goes away. So long the awakening has not come, religion is a discipline. God is a slave driver. He is pushing us. religion is out of fear, what I do. Everything. I may talk big words, but when the chips are down, my whole religious structure will fall down. This is the condition or the state of affair of an intellectual man. A stag, Swami Vivekananda mentions, a stag used to have big horns. And he used to tell his child that, you see, it is a nice thing to be a wonderful stag and roam about in the forest. I can kill men with my horns. When he was giving a big sermon, the huntsman bugle sounded, and the stag began to run and ran in fear. The stag child did not understand why his father, who was boasting, all of a sudden started running. He said, Father, you said it is a wonderful thing to be a stag with a big horn, but why did you run? He said, oh, my son, don't ask me. When I hear that sound, my all philosophies break into pieces. Similarly, intellectual religion is all here, not in the heart. What then is the way? What should he do to persevere? As I said in the beginning, no one can say when that awakening will come. It may come next moment. It may come after many, many lives of waiting. When there is love, we cannot do otherwise. If God is the object of love, and once this is decided, we have to persevere. Persevering means also loving, watching and waiting. In spiritual life, those who do not want to wait and persevere, they are not genuine candidates. Because they threaten God. If you do not appear before me, I am going to give you up. Two yogis were practicing. Swami Vivekananda says, one was a yogi. Perhaps he was a Raja yogi or a Jnana yogi. And the other was a Bhakti yogi. The other yogi, he was meditating for many years in a forest. As a result, anthill grew around him and covered him. And the other, he was a simple man. He used to chant God's name, little sing and dance. People used to think he was headless and he was crazy. It happened one day, sage Narada, a heavenly sage who used to wander around, he wanders around. He happened to be passing through that forest. Seeing sage Narada, the first yogi made a hole in his anthill and asked him, Sage, where are you going? He said, I am going to heaven. Please ask the Lord how long I will have to wait. Still the golden gate has not opened. I have grown anthill around me through years of my uninterrupted meditation and austerity. Narada said, surely I would ask. Then he passed to this house also. This man was singing the glories of God, little carefree, happy-go-lucky type. He came out and with a mouth full of glee, he said, hello sage, where are you going? Will you please ask the Lord how long it will take? He said, yes. In course of time rolled on, Narada again was coming. Seeing him, this gleeful man came forward. Did you ask, sir? He said, yes. What did he say? He said, you will have to wait long. Do you see this tree? As many leaves are there in this tree, that many incarnations you will have to be born. The man began to jump. Then I will be liberated. At least I have got a limit that these many leaves are there. He came to the other man passing. Again through the hole he asked. He said, yes, I reported the matter to the Lord. He said, 3 more bats. He said, 3 more. 3 more, he began to chant. After all, I give up. He broke the anthill, came out, and went in his way, went back to the worldly things. He could not persist because he didn't have that love. He was only pretending to be a lover. So therefore, awakening, for that, we have to wait. This is called prayer. Through prayer, there is no other way to awaken except to yearn for the awakening. It comes through the grace of God. We may talk of big philosophy, we may talk of technique and technology, but whole thing rests in the hand of God. So the Upanishad says, after telling, in the Katha Upanishad, this Atma cannot be realized by the wicked, those who have not given up their wicked ways. Cannot be realized by the study of the Vedas. Cannot be realized by intellectual arguments, by progeny, by wealth, na medhoya, na bahuna srutena. This Atman cannot be realized. Nayam atma balohinena labho. Not even by the intellectually indolent, inert. Jame vaishabrinite stena labho. One who is chosen by this Atma. Only he attains it. So therefore, in our spiritual practices, this attitude should be developed. As Bhagavad Gita says, Ma manushara yuddhaja. Krishna instructed Arjuna, fight, but remembering me. Fighting is your role. Remember me and fight. Make self-effort with a sense of self-surrender. Do not take the problem of religious life on your own shoulder. Leave it to me. Follow me. Wanting grace does not mean sitting on a couch and sipping coffee and waiting for the grace, as if grace will come and ring the doorbell and we will come down and open the door and grace will enter and embrace me. No, working hard. In fact, God's grace comes. The sign of grace is one feels longing. God's grace means God's attraction toward us. No one can meditate on God unless God meditates on us. There is much truth in this. When God thinks of me, I feel drawn. That means His grace. So Sri Ramakrishna says, those on whom God has grace, He makes them do lot of spiritual practices, austerities, charity, bhav, all these things. He feels like doing. Because His expressions of love. And he gets the response also. Love is not one-way traffic. It has two ways. We must get response. However, I make big talk about love, unless a person feels within the response, he won't be convinced by my sermon. But it is true. Love, when it is genuine, it is bound to make response. God is the captive of love. He does not want how many hours of meditation we do, how many rounds of holy name we repeat, how many pages of the scriptures we study, or how many millions of dollars we have made charity. He wants little love. So the scriptures say, you give what you love most. What we can give? When you love money most, give money to me. That means spend for the sake of God's cause. When you love knowledge, you give knowledge to people. Make a charity of knowledge. When you love peace and have attained peace, you give peace. Let Him hold our hand instead of trying to hold His hand. And when this is done, then we are awakened. When the awakening has come, life becomes blessed. To go before God, sitting in our prayer, when you are able to unburden our burden to Him, then the heart feels relieved. When sitting in the prayer, the hairs stand on the end, by uttering His name, we feel a thrill. When the worldly desires, they gradually get burnt, we feel less and less attraction for the sense enjoyments and more attractions for God's name and His life, then that awakening has come. That awakening only can take us across the ocean of birth and rebirth. This is the message of the Upanishads. This is the message of the Bhagavad Gita. Thank you. Om Sahana Bhavatu, Sahano Bhunaktu, Sahavidyam Karavavahai, Tejasvi Navadhitamastu, Ma Vidvishabhai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May Almighty Lord protect us. May He reveal Himself in our heart. May whatever we study, listen to, be a source of spiritual awakening unto us. Om peace. Peace be unto us. Peace be unto all living beings.